We're also on iHeartRadio and Spotify. And please leave a rating and review in all those directories because they'll help the Sportscast a little bit more. And of course, you can listen to us on online radio, and you can definitely see what's happening and what's cooking on live radio. And visit us on the sportscast.net or on our app, the Sportscast. You can receive notifications on the latest and greatest in sports. A lot going on in the world of sports this weekend. A lot of finales, college football, and of course NFL coming to a close. And we got a couple of guests today. We got three guests today. We got Ryan Christa, Chandler Christa, and Jeff Fawver. Welcome to the Sportscast.
Appreciate it, Santiago. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
And Chandler hasn't been back in the Sportscast for about 6 months, right?
Yeah, it's been a while.
And Ryan Christa is worried about Alabama tomorrow, aren't you?
Very much so, but I feel really good. I got my Dan Mullen fix pump up press conference yesterday. I'm feeling good for the Gators, even after that disastrous game last Saturday. But
that was brutal.
But you guys had a good recruiting week, didn't you?
We did good. We didn't steal anybody on recruiting day, but we didn't lose anybody, so that was solid.
Number 8 in the composite. And Jeff Fawver, the Chiefs did not face a Miami Miracle situation. They pulled it out, but you're feeling confident.
The Chiefs, when they play their A game, are going to be tough to beat. But the thing that kept that game from continuing to be a blowout was the turnovers. And that's the one thing, no matter who you are. Normally, if you turn the ball over 4 times, you lose the game. Like, it's pretty rare for anyone, no matter how good you are. If you turn the ball over 4 times, you lose the game more often than not. So that would be my only concern. But, yeah, I mean, they still look good overall. And I don't want this to sound arrogant, but there are times where they almost – I can't call it boredom because I don't think it's boredom, but they get out to so many leads. It just seems like almost every game at some point they jump out to a big lead. And they're just so confident in their ability to close games that they kind of have these lulls. And they haven't finished games the best the last couple of weeks. But, yeah, if you're a Chiefs fan, you should still feel really good about where they are and what they're doing right now.
And, of course, Steelers lost 2 in a row. Chandler, how significant is that for the Chiefs and the Steelers and maybe the Bills?
I would say it's pretty big for the Steelers because, like, I've been saying this all year. I think the Steelers are overrated because if you look at their schedule they played, they haven't really beat anyone that good. Like the refs have helped them out during the game. So I don't think they're all like what they say they are.
Ryan Christa. Yeah, go ahead, Jeff. Go ahead.
I was just going to say the biggest thing with the Steelers is even the decent teams that they've beat. If you look at the quarterbacks they've played, so the Steelers, I'm not saying the Steelers defense isn't really good because I think it is when they're healthy, but look at the quarterbacks they've played. They played Ryan Tannehill early in the year and they played Deshaun Watson early in the year. They really haven't played anyone that can test you from the pocket until they played Josh Allen. And we saw what happened there. I mean, in the second half, Josh Allen did whatever he wanted to do. And I understand the Steelers defense is beat up now too. But I think, I tend to agree with Chandler. I think they were overrated a bit because they hadn't played anyone that could beat you from the pocket.
Ryan Christa, are the Steelers overrated, but maybe beating the Titans wasn't good enough?
I don't know if they're quote-unquote overrated. I don't think anybody's been affected by scheduling revisions more than the Steelers, and a lot of it's not of their own problems, and more or less the other teams. Even going back to the Titans game got moved from way back in the beginning of the year, and then with the Ravens game getting moved and forcing the game with the Redskins getting moved. I mean, they ended up playing 3 games in such a short amount of time, and I think they're just fatigued. Like they don't look like they have the same amount of energy, and now dealing with their own, people missing due to COVID and injuries. It's showing. So I don't know if they're overrated or they just hit the wall. Well, they're definitely not the same team that, I saw at the beginning of the year. But when you're led by a veteran quarterback like Roethlisberger, I think they can turn it on when they have to. It might not be good enough to beat the Chiefs or even the Bills at their best. But I think there definitely will be a hard out in the playoffs.
And of course, the playoffs are coming up in a few weeks. A quarterback that led a team last night was Justin Herbert, and I think he passed the NFL test yesterday, defeating the Las Vegas Raiders 30-27 in overtime, even with Marcus Mariota actually played yesterday. Jeff, what was your first reaction when you saw that, and how did you see Mariota?
Yeah, I mean, Mariota played well. I mean, I don't know how you can watch him play coming in cold, not expecting to play. I thought he played. I mean, he made some plays really. The one that sticks out to me is the fourth down throw deep in Chargers territory that led to a touchdown. Now, we've seen this before though, right? I mean, Mariota's always been capable of playing one good game. He's a backup for a reason, so I don't think there's any long-term ramifications there, except for maybe the rest of this year if Carr is out the next couple weeks. But the Chargers, if they could just if NFL games were only 3 quarters, they might be a playoff team. But their end of game, like even though they won yesterday, after the Chris Harris interception, so Mariota threw the pick in the red zone and Harris ran it back deep into Raiders territory. They run the ball twice and then run a play action pass that, the Raiders didn't buy at all, and Herbert got sacked. And I look at it and I say, you have Herbert who's played so well not just yesterday, but he's been, aside from the New England game where Belichick just, had him standing on his head, he's looked great most of this year. And you have to trust your quarterback if you're playing to win the game, running the ball twice and then putting him in a tough situation. And especially when your kicker, like they would never say this, your kicker stinks. He missed 8 kicks going into yesterday, and I think he missed 2 more if I'm not mistaken.
Oh yeah.
So your kicker is not reliable, but yet you're settling for a 51-yard field goal. I thought they should have just put the ball in Herbert's hands. You get that interception, run the ball once if you have to make the Raiders use the timeout. And then trust your quarterback. I know he's a rookie, but he's probably your best player on offense. Trust your quarterback to put the game away.
Right.
They ultimately ended up winning, but they did everything they could to try to give that back to Las Vegas.
Ryan, Christa, do you trust Justin Herbert?
I trust Justin Herbert, but I agree with Jeff. I don't trust Anthony Lynn. I think time after time, like Jeff said, it seemed like they're always in position in the fourth quarter to win the game. But there's a reason why, they got 4 or 5. I can't remember 4 or 5 wins is because the end of the game execution, just general coaching, things that might get lost in the scope of a game. But Anthony Lynn seems to come short on many of these coaching decisions. But if you're a Chargers fan, you've got to be impressed with this rookie, his poise, and just the connection he's got with Keenan Allen right now is good. And Mike Williams, they got to find a consistency in the running game, because I think to continue to trust Herbert to win game in and game out with his arm it's going to be tough. But the future looks bright, and I think you look back at this year and you say what could have been, but again, what you're getting out of a rookie quarterback is more than what you expected. So all in all, I think is a successful year, and I will be interesting to see where the management goes with regards to Anthony Lynn and the future of the organization.
Chandler, you have the last word from the Chargers versus Raiders.
I mean, I personally thought that game was more important for the Raiders, which they lost, because I think they're probably out of playoff contention now. They were coming into the game. That was a must-win game for them, and they kind of blew it towards the end. So I think they're out of the playoff contention now.
John, Ryan, Christa, what was the deal with John Gruden wearing a vintage Raiders hat or something?
That was weird. I don't know if he just grabbed the wrong hat or why to even have an Oakland Raiders hat, but I'm pretty sure the NFL doesn't want him to be wearing an Oakland Raiders hat on the sideline. So
he has broken the rules a lot, Jeff.
Yeah, Gruden.
I don't, John Gruden does what John Gruden wants to do, and
Yep.
and I really have no idea the inside information on that, other than the NFL probably frowned upon that at halftime when they found out and made sure he had the right hat on in the second half.
Well, anyways, Raiders are still in playoff contention, I believe, but they got to win out. And of course, I believe Chargers are kind of out already, pretty much. So
Yeah,
Santiago,
no,
that was last night was just a big night for the Dolphins winning for the improving their chances. So
And the
There you have
Ravens too.
and the Ravens, exactly. Yeah.
So, anyways, let's start. Let us start with the NFL Week 15 predictions. Let's start out with Tampa at Atlanta. Jeff Fawver, Tom Brady had a good weekend last weekend. Tom Brady is known as Mr. December. Atlanta should be a win. Who do you got?
Tampa will win, but the Falcons are another one of those teams that if you look at if you just looked at the record, you say, they stink, right? But the Falcons have kept a lot of games close, and they've been similar to the Chargers in a way that, especially early in the year, they just could not close a game to save their life. So I think it'll be a little bit closer than what people expect. And, Brady's been up and down this year, which is to be expected for an older quarterback. But I still think, Tampa Bay will win by a touchdown. It'll be a game that maybe at times it looks like the Buccaneers don't have control, but I think their defense will actually be the difference. Matt Ryan is, he's a good quarterback, but Tampa, when their defense is playing well, can really make life difficult. And I think that it'll be like a 27-21 type game.
Oh, excuse me. Chandler, Christa, you're a Tom Brady fan. What's going to happen in Atlanta at 1 p.m. on Fox?
I mean what's it? Not Patriots, not the Patriots. The Buccaneers. I think they're gonna pull away with it. I mean, Tom Brady, like we said, is Mr. December, and this is a big game they need to win. So I could see the Buccaneers coming out. I want to say 35-28.
Ryan, Christa, will we see a Scotty Miller touchdown?
Of course, he's the new Edelman. Like I always tell you each week. No, yeah, I don't, exactly, if the Falcons will keep it close. When you get to the end of the season and you don't have much to play for, it's always guessing back which team, like Jeff said, the Falcons have a lot of talent and they can be able to keep a game competitive, or they could just mail it in and say, we're ready for next year. And the Buccaneers have everything to play for, and since prove their playoff position. So I'm gonna definitely say the Buccaneers win this game.
Everyone picks Tampa. Let's go with Jeff. Jacksonville at Baltimore Ravens. Seems like the Ravens are kind of coming back again. Are we going to see a blowout here?
Probably. I mean, so the Ravens have had their ups and downs, but they're kind of getting back to running the ball a bit. And in that game against, I know Cleveland's defense is beat up and they've struggled, but Lamar Jackson finally made those plays down the field that you want to see him make. So on the fourth down play that they converted, I think every person in the building and every person watching at home thought he was going to take off and run, and then he made the throw to Hollywood Brown. Now, that doesn't change how I feel about the Ravens long term, but I think they're going to end up with a playoff spot. I do. I think the Ravens are going to end up in the playoffs. And if we're lucky, it'll be the 2-seed Steelers versus the 7-seed Ravens. And we'll get to see those two teams, try to rip each other's souls out one more time. But I think the Ravens will win by 2 touchdowns against the Jaguars.
Ryan, do you agree? Do you think that the Ravens will win by 2 touchdowns or more or less?
Oh, definitely more than 2 touchdowns. I think they're coming onto their own. Last week was, I think, a big confidence booster for Lamar Jackson and the Ravens in general, just to prove, that they are a good team and they were the team that we thought they were. Because the Browns gave them everything they wanted to and more, and showed that the Browns are a good team. That was just a heck of a good football game, Yesterday was a good football team between 2 average football teams. I think Monday night was a good football game between 2 good football teams. I think there's a difference in that. But getting to see Lamar Jackson get outside the pocket, run that offense last 2 weeks where it's run first, pass second, getting back to what they do. And I think they're keeping, even though they're running the ball good, they're keeping the other team off balance. I think there's a period in the middle of the year where I think the Ravens became very predictable in their play calling and their running plays. It seems like the last couple weeks against the Browns and Cowboys, they've been able to diverse their running game a little bit more and keep the other team off balance with the threat of the pass. So I think with their opponent being the Jaguars, it's not going to be much of a game other than the biggest thing they'll taken away is the more confidence for Lamar Jackson and the Ravens.
Chandler, Christa, last week they benched Mike Glennon, the Jaguars. They're going to start probably Gardner Minshew, I believe. Will Jacksonville have a chance, or are you going to choose the Ravens?
I mean, I do love Gardner Minshew. I think he's a great quarterback, but there's no chance that the Jaguars are going to beat Lamar Jackson and the hot Ravens right now.
No upset there. Jeff, San Francisco at Dallas. Dallas still has a chance to make the playoffs. Jeff, what's going to happen there?
Yeah. The 49ers, in the games I've seen them play, the 49ers have hung tough. I mean, the Niners and Broncos are probably the two most beat-up teams in the entire NFL. And the Niners still battle. So I like the Niners, and I think it'll be a 7 to 10 point spread.
Chandler, who do you got? San Francisco at the Cowboys, a classic 80s rivalry.
I am a huge Cowboys fan, so I have to go with my team. The Dallas, yeah, you're right. They do still have a chance at the playoffs. I think it's like 4 or 5% right now. But I'm going to go with the Cowboys. I think they're going to pull off this one because San Francisco is pretty hurt right now with Garoppolo out, Kittle's out. So I think Dallas is going to pull up a good game.
Ryan, are you going to pick Dallas or are you going to pick the Reds?
The 49ers?
Yeah.
I'm going to go with the 49ers. I just think you beat up 49ers team is better than any Cowboys team. So I'm going to go with the 49ers to win the game.
It's going to be a sloppy game. Anyways, Houston at Indianapolis. Houston could be a spoiler, Jeff. Who do you got?
Indy's playing too well right now. I think Indy's defense has taken a step back, but their running game is really coming along, and they have a really good offensive line. And the Texans defense is just a mess at the moment. So I think now it will be close because it's a division game, and Watson will make plays because he always does. But the Colts will win. The Colts will win by a touchdown.
Ryan, Christa, I know you're a Phil Rivers fan. Can he do it against Watson?
No, I am not a Philip Rivers fan, that's for sure. Back from his day as a Chargers quarterback. I'm sure me being a Broncos fan, Jeff being a Chiefs fan, I think we have ill will towards Philip Rivers and everything he stands for. No, I think back to the shouting matches between him and Jay Cutler on the sidelines. It just never sat well with me as a Broncos fan. But that saying said, I think the Colts, Philip Rivers will definitely, the Colts will handle this game.
Chandler, I know you're a Watson fan. Who do you got?
I'm surprisingly, I do love Deshaun Watson, yes, but you have to go with the Philip Rivers and the Colts. This game's way more important for them.
Wow.
I think Philip Rivers is just going to come out and throw some touchdowns and win this game.
No chance for Houston, and Houston has Watson, and I know they have a few of the receivers injured, but hey, it could happen. New England at Miami. I think a game that Miami could actually, guarantee the win. Ryan, who you got for this matchup?
Yeah, I'm going to go with your hometown Miami Dolphins there, Santiago.
I think you should.
Even though they lost to the Chiefs on Sunday, the defense showed a lot, what it can be. And I think as long as they keep that momentum going, limit the big plays, I think that's what killed them against the Chiefs, are the big plays they gave up. And Tua just keeps on getting a little better each game. Obviously, they're not championship contenders this year, but making the playoffs would be a big step in the right direction and kind of cement that Brian Flores is the next Bill Belichick, maybe. We'll see.
Chandler, Christa, who do you got in Miami?
I, like Ryan, I have to go with Miami this week. They did lose to the Chiefs last week, but I think they're going to bounce back, and I think they're going to manhandle the Patriots.
Jeff Fawver, Patriots. are in trouble. I think I believe this would be a playoff contention matchup. Do you think New England has a chance, or do you think Miami has some momentum coming in?
Miami's been playing great, so I'm not trying to discredit them. But the only thing that concerns me when I look at the matchup is you have Belichick versus a rookie quarterback, and then the Dolphins I don't know who all's playing and who isn't for sure. But by the end of the game against the Chiefs, they were down both receivers and their tight end. That's all. I mean, that's asking a lot of Tua to be able to make plays with that cast of characters. And Belichick, the thing about him is he's going to take what you want to do the most and he's going to get rid of it. He's not going to allow you to do that. So if those guys play for Miami, I think they'll have just enough to pull it out because I think they'll get Cam Newton to turn the ball over. But if Gesicki and Parker don't play, I have to lean with the Patriots.
Patriots. Inside analysis from Jeff Fawver. Good one. NFC North, Chicago and Minnesota. Chandler, Christa, who do you have at the Viking Stadium?
Oh, this is a tough one. I think I'm probably going to have to go with Chicago here. They started off the season really good. They've been playing not the best recently, but I mean, I think they can win against their division rival. I think Chicago definitely can win this game, and I think it would mean a lot for them. I just hate Minnesota too, so.
Ryan, Christa, who will be the quarterback for this match?
I think
Chicago and Minnesota. For Chicago,
I think it's gonna be Mitch Trubisky. I haven't heard differently, but
you might be right. And will that help them win against Minnesota?
Well, I mean, he's been playing better the last couple weeks. Minnesota, I mean, who knows what to expect from them week in and week out. You know, they started bad, then they're hot, and then they had some bad losses. So, I think if everything plays out normal, I think the Vikings should win this game.
Jeff, Minnesota has been spiking a little bit this past couple of weeks. Kirk Cousins doing okay. Who do you got for this matchup?
I lean towards the Vikings too. So it's always hard because I think the Bears defense is the single best unit in the game, but Trubisky, I just don't trust Trubisky to continue to play well, and I think he'll turn the ball over. And when you turn it over, eventually your defense wears down. So, and the Vikings, them trading Diggs has turned into one of the rare win-wins because they went out and got Jefferson, who's been awesome, and Diggs has been great in Buffalo. But the Vikings still have plenty of weapons that if you give them enough chances, they're going to score. And I think the Vikings will win as well.
Let's stick with Jeff. Detroit at the Titans last week. Derrick Henry ran over 200 yards. Will he do it again against Detroit in his home stadium?
I think he will. And Derrick Henry got hot at the end of last year too. If you remember right, going into the playoffs, he kind of carried the Titans, and then he carried that into the first couple rounds of the playoffs. Well, I mean, right till the AFC Championship where they finally lost. And I think he's getting hot again at the right time, and they lean on him. You know, he wears people down. So, and this could be one that gets away a little bit, just because even though the Titans' defense isn't necessarily great, the Titans' offense is going to put a lot of pressure on Detroit. Their offense to keep pace. So I like the Titans by a touchdown or so.
Ryan, Christa, are you seeing the same thing for the Titans? Are they blossoming at the right time?
Absolutely. When the Titans are good, they run the ball good, play action fake, and Ryan Tannehill to A.J. Brown. This is a dynamic team as you can be dynamic being a run-first team. Like Jeff said, the defense is hit or miss for the Titans. Most times it's been a miss lately, it seems like, when they're not going against the Jaguars. But I think they'll have enough offense to beat the Lions, and that's Derrick Henry needs to average 156 yards in the next 3 games to have another 2,000-yard season, which would be a heck of an accomplishment for him and the Titans. And in this, especially in this present day NFL, where it seems to be a pass first league, to have that have another 2,000-yard season would be awesome for them. But yes, the Titans win this game, I believe.
Chandler, Christa, Detroit at Tennessee. Are you seeing the same as Jeff and Ryan?
Yeah, I'm going to have to go with Tennessee in this one. I think Derrick Henry is definitely, I would say, the best running back in the NFL right now. He's obviously proved it with all of his yards and all that he's doing. So I'm definitely going to go with the Derrick Henry and the Tennessee Titans for this game.
Jeff, Seattle at Washington. Washington has won 2 games in a row, and they're hot right now. Seattle is too hot as well. Can we see an upset?
I think we could, because the last time Seattle had the game against the Giants, they got out physicaled up front. And even though Washington certainly has their limitations, their defensive line is a problem for pretty much anybody. Their defensive line is really, really strong. The Seattle defense, although it's not the train wreck it was early in the year, they're still going to give up some plays. So even though I think Russell Wilson is awesome, I like Washington. I think Washington's going to ride the momentum and they're going to keep winning.
Chandler, Seattle at Washington. This could be a toss-up. Who do you have?
Oh, I'm definitely going to have to go with Russell Wilson and the Seattle Seahawks. Russell Wilson, I think, is just doing very, very well this season. He's in the contention for the MVP, and I think they're just going to manhandle Washington. I also cannot stand Washington as being a Cowboys fan. So, I think Seattle in this game.
Ryan, can Seattle win in Washington, or you see
Right.
something in Chase Young?
I always see something in Chase Young, and I would see something if I was the other opposing quarterback, just like Russell Wilson. Make sure that man gets blocked.
Ooh, that'd be a good matchup right there. Wow.
That team, the Redskins or not, Washington Football Club. They're playing well. Especially they're riding the momentum of that win against the Steelers a couple weeks ago. It's going to be a tough game, and I mean. Mindset says the Seahawks should win this game, but I'm going to go like Jeff go with the Washington Football Club to, keep their playoff hopes alive with a win.
The Washington football team, and I hope they stick with that name. Jalen Hurts, Ryan Christa had his first win last week after his first game replacing Carson Wentz. Can you see this continuing in Maricopa County, Arizona?
Well, this is a battle of Oklahoma University transfer quarterbacks here. You might call it. I can't even think of the coach's name. I'm just like,
which coach?
The Oklahoma. I'm like,
Riley.
Lincoln Riley. The
Lincoln Riley.
Lincoln Riley Bowl.
Sorry, I was gonna say Bill O'Reilly. Sorry.
The Lincoln Riley Bowl here. He turned both quarterbacks into run first quarterbacks that can throw the ball, well. But I think the Cardinals, the game means a little more for them because I think the Eagles season, even though they got the win the other week against the Saints, to make the playoffs is going to be tough. Cardinals are right in the thick of the playoff chase right now, and I think that game means more. And I'm going to say Kyler Murray and the Cardinals get the victory.
Chandler Christa, please say Philadelphia.
Oh, heck no. I'm definitely, Jalen Hurts has been playing really good. I think he's really legit. I personally think next year he's going to be the starting quarterback for the Philadelphia Eagles. And I think Carson Wentz is going to go elsewhere. But I love Kyler Murray, and especially after what they did, him and DeAndre Hopkins did against Buffalo a couple weeks ago, that miracle end zone catch. I have to go with Kyler Murray and the Arizona Cardinals.
Jeff, how do you see this matchup?
I'm going Eagles, and it's nothing too technical. It's just the simple fact that changing to Hurts seemed to reinvigorate the Eagles. And look, they're beat up. They're like hanging on by a thread. And Doug Peterson's just going to have them ready to play. They're going to play a good game, and they're going to win.
Ryan, you hear that?
Yeah. You love Jalen Hurts, Santiago.
I don't know why I like Jalen Hurts.
Because you love Alabama.
Maybe.
Oh,
not.
you
Or
like
maybe he went to
Alabama?
Oklahoma. That could be it.
Alabama is no good.
Another walk in the park, possibly the Jets at the LA Rams. Jeff, you could have one word answer, or you can elaborate.
Yeah. Rams.
Chandler?
Rams.
Ryan Christa.
I mean, anything else without you should abolish them for coming on the sportscast. But yes,
Yeah.
good for him.
But I think next year the Jets are going to get Trevor Lawrence, and they're going to be they're going to win maybe 2 games.
Wow, maybe. What will happen to Adam Gase, Jeff? You think he's out on Black Monday or Sunday?
No, I don't think they'll fire him after 1 year.
Interesting, Ryan.
Oh, I don't know. I think it's the second. I don't know. It's the second year, isn't it? I think
it is the second season. Correct.
Yeah, I
have
think.
no idea.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think he's out. I think they're just letting him ride it out. But when you're going to draft a franchise quarterback, like it looks like they are, you want to bring in the coach, so they kind of pair together. So I think they'll look elsewhere after the year.
Chandler?
I think he's definitely going to be out of there because, they're on pace to being an 0-16 team, and you can't be around in the NFL if you're just going to go like that.
And they fired Coach Greg Williams a few weeks ago, so we'll see how things continue in the Meadowlands. Kansas City at the Saints, Jeff Fawver. This might be the game of the day and maybe the weekend. It's Drew Brees is confirmed this morning. What do you think is going to happen?
The Chiefs' offensive line's really been beat up, and it's kind of started to get to them. And this might be the game that the dam breaks a little bit. So, and then the other thing is Drew Brees, if he had it his way, would never throw more than 7 yards down the field. And sure enough, I think a lot of people would say that's how you attack the Chiefs: throw it to the running back, throw it to the tight end, get matched up on their linebackers. So I still think the Chiefs are going to win because Mahomes will do something crazy.
Ryan, Christa, Drew Brees coming back this weekend. Will that make a difference? Can the Saints have a better shot of winning this game?
Yeah. I mean, they obviously didn't play well with Taysom Hill last week, but Taysom Hill had been playing well before that. I mean, like Jeff said, the Chiefs are going close to losing the last couple weeks, but they find a way to win. And if you're going to say they're going to lose a game, it would probably be against the Saints. But again, do you ever really go against Patrick Mahomes? Probably not. So, yes, I'll go with the Chiefs.
Chandler, Christa, are you going to choose the Chiefs or are you going to choose the Saints winning at home?
With the Saints, they're playing in New Orleans.
Yeah, Saints, yeah.
Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, they got something magical going on in Kansas City. You just can't describe how good they're playing right now. I mean, Drew Brees is back, but is he going to really be 100% after just being out for a couple games? Probably not. So I have to go with the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes.
Kansas City wins in New Orleans. There's no doubt there at all. Cleveland Browns at the Giants. Jeff Fawver, what's going to happen in the Meadowlands? Colt McCoy might be starting.
It's going to be an ugly game just from the standpoint of the Giants are pretty good up front, and the Browns want to run the ball. So I think it could be an ugly game, but I like the Browns. I know as long as they don't get caught up in the emotional highs and lows of losing that game that's really tough to lose, I think they're going to be okay. I thought they showed a lot of good things in that game, even though it didn't turn out in their favor. And if they get that version of Baker Mayfield that can make a couple plays, I like the Browns. I think they'll win.
Chan, man, who do you got in New York?
I like the Browns, I should say. The Browns are doing very well. After that ugly loss they had last week it was just a bad game against Baltimore. But I think the Browns are going to come back and beat the Giants. I can't stand the Giants. I don't know. Their quarterback situation is just terrible right now. And I don't think the Giants are going to go anywhere. So I'm going to go with the Cleveland Browns. This will definitely help because this is a game they need to win for the playoffs.
Ryan Christa was once a Colt McCoy fan. Do you think he can do it against the Browns?
I don't know if I was a Colt McCoy fan, but I respect his ability and his overachieving being, I think, 5'10". But I also don't think the Browns had a bad game, Chandler. They had a very good game against the Ravens. But
yeah, you're right.
It was a good game. But yeah, I think do they have effective losing if, going against, quote unquote lesser opponent, but the Giants absolutely need this game too. So, yeah, I think it will be a slugfest, like Jeff said, because I think the Giants do stop the run well. And like what, when they want to, they can play great defense like they did against the Seahawks a couple weeks ago. So, yes, I'm going to go with the Browns to win this game because I just think they're just a better football team in the end of the day.
And there you have it. That is our Week 15 NFL predictions. And it's going to be a good weekend. A few clinchers, of course, but I guess a couple of new things we're going to see this weekend. Drew Brees coming back after a couple of rib injuries. But yeah, we got 2 more weekends after this weekend. And of course, the COVID protocols have been following through. Before we end the show, Ryan, Christa, give us a preview of college football this weekend. I know Florida plays Alabama, and I believe Florida has to win in order to get into the playoffs. How will you be seeing this?
So yes, this is championship weekend. So you have, tonight you have the Pac-12 championship, which really doesn't, even though USC is undefeated, doesn't really have championship implications. You have the Big Ten championship with Ohio State Northwestern tomorrow. Ohio State wins. It looks like they're going to be in, even though they've only played 5 games, and this would be number 6. And then you have the big one at 4:00 between Clemson and Notre Dame. Most experts say if Clemson wins and they split with Notre Dame, that both teams will get into the playoffs. And with that being said, then you have Alabama and Florida. Florida coming off a loss to LSU last week in a crazy game, which kind of really took them out of the playoffs. Even if they win, it doesn't look like they'll still get in unless there's a shake-up between Ohio State and if Notre Dame does beat Clemson, maybe they sneak in if they win. But beating Alabama in itself is going to be very difficult. Florida will be able to score. It's just a matter of Florida's going to be able to get stops against this Alabama vaunted offense of Mac Jones and Devontae Smith and Najee Harris, weapons all over the field. But Kyle Trask has had the single greatest season in throwing the football in Florida football history, which is saying a lot with you like some quarterbacks like Tim Tebow, Danny Warfel, Rex Grossman. The season he's had been unbelievable. I just don't know if it's going to be enough to beat Alabama, but I'm going to say it's going to come down to the wire and go Gators.
Anyways, we got to close the show soon. Guys, I know it's Christmas. This is our last Friday show before Christmas. Tell us first, let me phrase this question. Which ugly sweater has been the best you've seen so far? Anyone from the 3?
I like the Ric Flair one. That's my favorite. I like the Ric Flair woo. Merry Christmas.
Chandler, Ryan.
The
best ugly sweater you've ever seen in your life.
I mean,
Top of
I
your
don't know.
head.
I own a pretty good Dallas Cowboy ugly sweater.
That's a good one. Ryan Chris has a few.
I kind of like the
Broncos.
Home Alone, you filthy animal one. That's
a good one.
Oh wow, perfect, awesome. Anyways, before we go, Jeff, what's the best way to reach you online to talk to you about the Chiefs win over the Saints this weekend?
Best way to follow along is at JT Fawver on Twitter.
Chandler, Christa, what's the best way to reach you to talk to you about hotels and hospitality?
I don't really use Twitter, so you can find me on Facebook at Chandler Christa.
And Ryan, Christa, what is the best way to reach you to get your wife's secret cookie recipe?
Mad Dog Report on Twitter.
And there you have it. This weekend, loaded with sports. We got the NFL, we got some NBA, we got some college football. A lot going on. The big show is this Sunday, 3 p.m., hosted by Nick Rossetti, college football big show with Ken Doppel, Gerald Dixon, Justin Riley, and Tyler Turner. They'll be discussing what did the College Football Playoff Committee discussed and who they selected for the Final Four of the College Football Playoffs. Sports still keeps going. COVID is slowly dying. But anyways, guys, appreciate you coming on to the Sportscast.
Thank you.
Thank you, Santiago.
Thanks.